What's going on, everybody? Gleez here, and by this point, I'm sure that you've already heard and read the statement from the Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate official Twitter page that NetherRealm is no longer going to support Mortal Kombat 11, and they are working on their next project. Now, I wanted to wait a day and kind of stew on this and think about it before I made a video. Initially, I was pretty disappointed with their statement. One of the things that really kind of irked me, rubbed me the wrong way here, is that they use a framing mechanic in order to try to come across as though they are really truly living up to their word when they stated that they were going to support this game for longer than 2 years. It was going to break the 2-year cycle that they typically have and, go well past that. And what they state here in this actual statement is that they supported the game for more than 2 years, which technically isn't really true. They haven't supported the game for longer than 2 years. The game was actually fell pretty short of that. Actually, it was supported approximately 1.5 months longer than Mortal Kombat X, which was just shy of 2 years. They've gone basically radio silent for the last 7 months or so. They did release a hotfix that did address Shiva and the Stomp and some other things, and I think a lot of that had to do with backlash with other people outside of the community seeing what was going on with Shiva and the Stomp. And I think that's what prompted them to fix that so quickly. You may know, you may not know, there was a tournament that was had with a bunch of influencers that were really popular. I believe Shroud was one of them, a couple others. And there were people just stomping their way to victory. And obviously, people outside of the community see that and they're like, what is this? It's a trackable, or it tracks, it's unblockable. You can barely get away from it. Like, what is this? And they fixed it like that. And that's pretty telling that they'll let the community kind of, die with this thing. But as soon as it leaks out into, the outer community of gamers, they fix it immediately. I think that's pretty telling. So one thing that I want to emphasize with, I'm using air quotes, Mortal Kombat 11 being dead, is that it's only as dead as the community lets it get. If you want to continue to participate in Mortal Kombat 11 events, if you want to continue to stream it, throw tournaments, I think that is fantastic. I think that a lot of times the people in the NRS community specifically kind of let the old games die. And that's really no fault of their own. A lot of times NRS just releases a new game and people are just focused on that. So a lot of times they're focused on that competitively. The other game kind of goes on the back burner. And that's just the way the NRS games are produced and pumped out. Other gaming communities such as Street Fighter, Tekken, some other communities you can throw in there, their games last a lot longer. Those games go for 6 years, 7 years at times. I personally like the turnover of games because I like playing something new, but that's just me. A lot of people don't like it. There's some people that I know that specifically bought Mortal Kombat 11 and decided to learn it because of the promises made to support this game for much longer. And now NRS was like, nah, we were just kidding. We're not really doing that. That was all fake. And a lot of people are mad about that. And I think they have a right to be. They have a right to be upset that they promised something and didn't follow through with it. Now, there's a lot of people that I see on Twitter and they have this weird mindset. Like, I don't understand it, right? So they have this mindset, like people are mad about it. I'm not too mad about that portion because I kind of like the turnover, but that's just me personally. But people are mad that they promised something and didn't follow through with it. And as a consumer, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to have your voice heard when someone that produces a product promises something and doesn't follow through with it. That's what's supposed to happen. And you have people that are trying to play this high and mighty ground where it's like, aren't you grateful that they just did this? Like, no. I would be grateful if they followed through with the promises they made on a product that they're producing as a consumer. So I don't understand that mindset at all. People have a right to be mad and let them be. And NRS is going to have to deal with that backlash. When you promise something and you don't follow through and you're producing a product, that's what's supposed to happen. People are going to get mad that you're not following through with your promises. even as someone that doesn't necessarily bother, I understand that that's what's going to happen. You can't promise something and then renege on it and then be like, oh, well, aren't you grateful that they did less than the bare minimum of what they promised? You got one character. Oh, aren't you happy? You should be happy with just what they do. You gave them money for a game on the promise that they're going to support it for X amount of time. That's really a bad business practice altogether. I just don't get how people honestly can't see that. A lot of them are people that, kind of work hand in hand with NRS, so maybe that has something to do with it. So maybe they're a little bit blinded by that. But there's a lot of people that aren't working with NRS and they feel the same way. You should just be grateful that you got a character at all. Like, bro, I paid for the game off a promise that they didn't live up to. That's not really a good business practice, and hopefully the NRS doesn't continue with that moving forward. So one other thing that really kind of left me disappointed was the fact that it seems as though the game is not completed. And you may think, well, what do you mean by that? What do you mean that it's not completed? Well, you have a lot of these moves that were just never really balanced once they introduced custom variations. So you have a lot of moves that aren't really that good, that take up 2 slots, moves that are amazing that take up 1 slot. They never really went in and balanced any of this ever. They kind of just left it the same, introduced custom variations, and didn't do too much balancing before they really did that. They banned some moves, but never really fixed anything or changed the balance at all. They just kind of left it how it is, and then they're just gonna, shut things down and abandon it, which to me seems kind of weird. It also seems like an abrupt ending, again, like I said, because they promised to support the game for much longer. If you look at the character select screen, it also looks like the character select screen isn't really filled out. What I'm starting to kind of gather here is the fact that NRS wanted to support this game for longer and spend more time on their next project. But I think that there's some higher ups or something going on within Warner Brothers where they're just saying, listen, you're done with Mortal Kombat, you got to work on something new, and that's what you're going to focus on, and that's that. And I can see from a business standpoint where that might come into play. So some of this stuff may not be necessarily NRS's choice. There may be people above them changing things. And, that's kind of unfortunate, but that's the way, the cookie kind of crumbles. And with the turnover of games every 2 years, it does make them quite a bit of money to sell new software, new DLC, new packages that they can sell. It really helps the company to make money. And as we know, Warner Brothers is kind of hurting on the gaming division, as there were rumors that they were going to have to sell portions of it in order to stay afloat. So, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of tough because they were just so radio silent, and that kind of stuff doesn't really sit well with me, especially when you go back on a lot of the promises that you made initially going into the game. Now, where does the community stand from here? Well, obviously they're making a new game. Nobody really knows what it is. There's speculation of like a Marvel game or a Marvel vs. DC or remaster versions of old games, which I don't think they're going to do. And you also have some Shaolin Monks, like 2, some people are talking about. Injustice 3, nobody really knows. And we can't really speculate so much at this point. There's nothing really to go off of except for, rumors. And who knows if those rumors are even true. It's a bunch of, crap to me. I like to hear definitive things. I don't really like to hear rumors personally. But I know a lot of people dig that stuff. You probably won't find that here on this channel, but you probably will find it elsewhere on the interwebs. All I know is I'm excited to see what NRS, decides to do moving forward. The end of Mortal Kombat 11 was rather disappointing, but again, like I stated, it's not the end unless you make it the end. You can continue to participate in tournaments, throw tournaments, stream, do all of those things, and if you like the game and you enjoy the game, I definitely suggest that you continue doing it, and there will be people there to support you for sure. So what did you think about this announcement coming out from NetherRealm Studios about the stopping of support for Mortal Kombat 11? Leave it down in the comment section below. Also, if you enjoy everything Mortal Kombat retro games, as well as other fighting games, be sure to click that subscribe button, and don't forget to click the bell so you get updated whenever I post new content. As always, thank you for checking in. It's Gleez signing out, and continue to game strong.